Okay, mic works, headphones work, studio works. All right, we're ready to start the program. Sorry, as we go through our... Oh, I forgot to turn the camera on. All right, there. Now I think we're ready to go. Ready to go?
Ready to go.
All right, Dragon Ball's in there freaking out because we had a little bit of technical difficulty getting the show started today, but now we're ready to go. Hello again, everybody. We are back in our palatial studios here in Tucson, Arizona, getting ready for today's Rich Herrera radio show. I hope you guys had or you're having at least a decent day. Dragon Ball's freaking out a little bit, but the rest of us are A-okay. So we're back in the studios. They're brought to you by Casino del Sol. Sol Sports, bet easy, win big, bet local. Casino del Sol. Dragon Ball, deep breath. That wasn't a deep breath. That was weak. Come on. In with the good air. Out with the bad air.
That's what I was afraid
In with
of.
the good air. Out with the bad air.
No. That's what I was afraid of. You kept telling me to in deep breaths, and all of a sudden that's when I had to burp, and I didn't want to do that on the mic.
It's like I'm working with children here.
I mean, come on, man. No
and
one wants to hear
people
that.
wanted to see you yesterday.
You kept saying I was surprised. I kept hearing them over the microphone there. I was surprised that there were people that were looking for me.
People came to see you yesterday. I'm like, well, all right, fine. If you want to see him, here's his picture. Not impressive.
No, not really.
I actually don't have a picture of you.
I was gonna say I don't think that's. I don't think you have a picture of me on your contacts list or anything, do you?
No, sorry. I gotta tell Brett Boone I can't talk to him. He's coming up on the program today.
Right.
3:30, Boone. You're coming on at 3:30.
At least he's excited, like I am.
Today's one of those days, isn't it?
I mean, it's a Friday, you know.
It's a Friday. Thank goodness.
If anything's gonna go wrong during the week, you'd rather it be on Friday. Just that way, once you get past it, you don't got to worry about it. You can just push it off.
Today's supposed to be a really good day.
Yeah.
Because you know what today is, don't you? No, stop it. You and your nonsense. No, today's the birthday of the greatest living athlete of all time, the GOAT, the greatest living ball player of all time. The Say Hey Kid, Willie Mays, turns 91 today.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Tom Brady. I was like, I thought he wasn't for a couple more months.
No, today is the true one and only GOAT, the greatest living ball player. The greatest living ball player at one time is named by the Sporting News. Am I going to break this? I think I'm going to break this if I touch it. So these things are all backwards today because they're changing so many things here in the studio. Today is the birthday of the greatest living ball player. Willie Mays turns 91 today for the Say Hey Kid. Happy birthday, Willie Mays.
Happy birthday, Willie Mays.
Anybody going to argue with me on that?
No.
That Willie Mays is the greatest living ball player ever? Anybody better than the Say Hey Kid? Is he the GOAT? Is he the greatest single living athlete today? That would be tough. Who's the best athlete? Here, I'm going to throw this question out at everybody who calls into the program today. 520-848-1290. 520-848-1290, the number for you to join us here on the program. Why, did you hear that?
Yeah, I heard that little...
It's not beer. I'm just drinking a Diet Coke in here. Don't get too crazy. Yesterday, we were at Rusty's, and that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun yesterday.
Right. I mean, with Say Hey, I mean, man, it's hard to think of anybody currently around that would be better than the Say Hey Kid.
All right. I'm going to ask everybody this. I would ask you, but you're going to come up with somebody really stupid. But I will anyway. Greatest athlete you ever saw with your own two eyes?
Oh, the greatest athlete I ever saw.
Greatest athlete you ever seen with your own two eyes. Number for you to join us, 520-848-1290. 520-848-1290. I've seen a lot with my own two eyes. I've been lucky. I've seen Brady play in person. I've seen Peyton Manning play in person. Seen Joe Montana, Steve Young play in person. Seen Jordan play in person. Oh, boy. Who else will I throw up there that I've seen play in person? Saw Gretzky play in person. Oh, the greatest athlete I've ever seen with my own two eyes. We're just talking athlete, not anything else, just athlete. Greatest living athlete, or greatest athlete you've ever seen with your own two eyes. I hate to even ask this question because you're going to come up with somebody goofy. I know you will, but go ahead. Greatest living athlete you've ever seen with your own two eyes.
Greatest living athlete.
No, I'm sorry. They could actually be deceased if you want. Greatest athlete you've ever seen with your own two eyes.
Greatest athlete I've ever seen with my own two eyes. I've got one that's a favoritism pick and another one that's not.
It's a simple question.
Well,
greatest athlete you've ever seen with your own two eyes.
Jerome Bettis in 1997 when I saw him run for 3 touchdowns against the Cardinals back in
Is that your homer pick?
That's the homer pick.
I don't even think Jerome Bettis would be on my top 10 people of all time. Okay, so not your homer pick, because that's not your favorite player that you've ever seen. But here's what I want to hear from Tucson. Here's what I want. 520-848-1290. Let's do a telephone call day. 520-848-1290. Real simple, real easy. Who's the greatest athlete you've ever seen in person, your own two eyes? Your silly pick was Jerome Bettis, the bus.
I mean, that's a lot of quickness for a guy that big.
Blah, blah, blah. I just mean the greatest player with your own two eyes, not a homer pick. Because mine can't. It's not a homer pick. Who's yours?
I got to think about it. I got to really think about it hard.
It's not that difficult of a question. All right, I'll tell you mine. This is not. It's not going to be Joe Montana, and it's not going to be Steve Young. It's not going to be. I've seen John Elway play. It's not going to be Michael Jordan. Greatest athlete I've ever seen with my own two eyes, Bo Jackson. Saw Bo Jackson play baseball. Greatest athlete. He could do everything. Yep. As great as a say, hey, kid is, there's really no comparison to just the physical athlete of the greatest athlete ever. Not of all time. We're not talking GOATs. We're just talking greatest athlete ever has to be Bo Jackson. Could run, throw, hit, could play football, play baseball. He could do everything. Bo knows. That's why he's the greatest athlete. As much as I loved watching Michael Jordan play, as much as I've loved seeing some of these NFLers play, the greatest athlete I've ever seen with my own two eyes has to be Bo Jackson. I want to hear from you. 520-848-1290. 520-848-1290. Top me. Tell me, have you seen somebody play in person better than the great Bo Jackson? 520-848-1290, the number for you to join us. Are you still thinking of yours?
Still thinking of mine.
You're like ordering with a little kid. Like, okay, there's 3 things in the menu. There's a hot dog, there's macaroni and cheese, and there's frozen pizza. Which do you want? And
Sometimes I feel a little bit like mac and cheese. Sometimes I feel a little bit like frozen pizza.
All right, let me get some telephone calls here. 520-848-1290. 520-848-1290. I never got a chance to see the great Willie Mays play in person. Wish I could have. Wish I could have seen DiMaggio play in person. Babe Ruth. Wish I could have seen some of the all-time greats play in person. Never got a chance to. But with my own two eyes, I think the greatest athlete I've ever seen perform was Bo Jackson. What do you got? Chuck, line 1. Bear down, welcome. You're on Wildcats Radio 1290. Happy Friday.
Thank you, Rich. Yeah, I've got 2 of them.
Okay.
First, Hank Aaron.
I've seen Hank Aaron play. That's impressive.
Okay. Second one is Oscar Robinson.
Okay, you're going to have to go out on a limb a little bit to tell me Oscar Robinson.
Basketball.
Right. No, I know who he is.
The big O.
No, I know who he is. But you're going to have to explain to everybody why he's the greatest athlete you've ever seen with your own two eyes.
Oh, my gosh. That guy could do just about anything. He could rebound. He could shoot. He could do anything.
Okay.
I'm telling you, the man, he was outstanding.
All right, well, let's break him down. Give me somebody that a modern kid would understand. If you talk about the big O, rebounding, who would he be comparable to? Who would he be better than we see playing in the NBA in the last 20 years?
I can't give you that. I really don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm just saying, when I saw Oscar Robinson,
he was in a different league.
He left me in awe.
Really?
Totally awe. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, man, he scored, that night he scored 38 points that night. That's right, 38. And he had 15 rebounds.
I like it.
Okay, Rich.
All right, Chuck. Thanks
Thank
for the
you.
call. All right, you take care. Have a nice weekend. That opens up a phone line. 520-848-1290. 520-848-1290. Greatest athlete, and I've seen just about everybody. I've seen Shaq. I've seen Jordan. I've seen Gretzky. I've seen, I've seen Jeter. I've seen all the greats, but I think the greatest athlete I've ever seen with my own two eyes has got to be Bo Jackson. Dragon Ball said Jerome Bettis, but that was his homer pick. Your non-homer pick is?
For me, I always really, really admired Kevin Garnett for as tall and as wiry as he was.
Is he the greatest athlete you've ever seen with your own two eyes?
With my own two eyes, yes. For the sheer power that he could provide as wiry a frame. Like, people like to make jokes about Kevin Durant being too skinny. Kevin Garnett was equally as tall and as thin as Kevin Durant is, but
he was more muscular.
Yeah, he was not a finesse player. He was a low post, back to the basket. He would rebound with. Did
you ever see Jordan play in person?
I never got to see Jordan play in person.
Who would come close in your list?
To Jordan?
No, to Garnett. If he's the greatest you've ever seen in your whole, and I'm older than you are, so I have that benefit. But who else would be that you've seen with your own two eyes?
Of my own two eyes, I know that a guy that would be comparable to him would arguably be Tim Duncan. I got to see him play once or twice.
I think I've seen Tim Duncan before. Yeah, I did.
And a lot of people don't view Tim Duncan as athletic per se.
He was a better swimmer than he was a basketball player.
Yeah, that was a part of his scholarship, if I'm not mistaken, when he went to Wake Forest. He was one of the top swimmers.
Folks, that was impressive that I figured out Wake Forest just like that from you.
But,
no, it's all subjective. You don't have to justify it.
Right.
You just have to make the statement, greatest player I've ever seen, not player.
Athlete.
See, look, I could bounce. I don't get that reverb. That reverb going through. Best athlete you've ever seen in your life is not greatest player, because that would be different. Then we'd all have to say Tom Brady.
Right.
Because he's the GOAT of GOATs. But the best athlete you've ever seen in your life is, for me, it's Bo Jackson. For you, it's the big ticket.
Big ticket.
All right, I'm going to see what everybody else has. Our caller earlier said the Big O. Who do you got? 520-848-1290, 520-848-1290. I'm going to ask you this. I want to do a poll or something to figure out this question. Who's the greatest cat of all time? Ooh, who do you got as the greatest Wildcat of all time? Is it Teddy? Is it Sean Elliott? Is it Richard Jefferson? Is it who? We'll talk about that next year on 1290. Rich Rare Radio Show rolls on. I am the aforementioned host, Rich Rare. By the way, big shout out to everybody at Rusty's yesterday on West Grant Road in Silverbell. We had a fabulous time out there. Lots of fans came by. Lots of listeners came by. It was really cool hanging out. And I'm going to ask that we get a chance to go back out there again. It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun hanging out with you guys. So if you came by and visited with us yesterday, thank you so much. We're going to come back out there again. Number for you to join us, 520-848-1290, 520-848-1290. Coming up in just a little bit, Brett Boone will stop by. There was a Yankee fan there yesterday, so I said I'd get Booney on the show to talk about why the Yankees have turned around everything so quickly. So that's coming up in just a little bit. But let me take some telephone calls. Today's the birthday of the great Willie Mays, greatest living baseball player ever. So I wanted to ask you, who's the greatest player you've ever seen with your own two eyes? For me, Bo Jackson. For Dragon Ball, he says the big ticket Kevin Garnett. What say you, David, on line one? Welcome. You're on Wildcats Radio 1290. Bear down. How are you?
How are you doing, Rich? I'm doing great.
What do you got for me?
Well, Rich, I'm gonna, in honor of this Dragon Ball guy, I'm gonna give you one homer real quick. And that homer call, that one homer, would be you, considering that you survived Cinco de Mayo.
Yes, that's right. I'm a baller right now because I got through Cinco de Mayo and I went to go see Doctor Strange last night, which was very strange.
That is my homer call right there, that you survived all that. That's an impressive task.
Hey, listen, I'm a professional. Now, don't try this at home.
Now, I know that the sports person that I'm going to mention probably will not really fall within the realms of who you consider great athletes. But I have to say, with my own eyes, I agree with you, Bo Jackson. I never got to see him with my own two eyes. But having watched him on tape, absolutely the greatest athlete.
No. It has to be something that you've seen in person.
With my own two eyes.
With your own two
greatest
eyes.
Athlete I've
I
ever
spy
seen
with my little eye.
Was Pelé.
There you go. See, that is something that not many people can. This is kind of us flexing, David, because I've seen more than Dragon Ball. I'm more worldly sophisticated. I own my own tuxedo. I can eat dinner within 15 minutes of it being served. I'm not a little kid that sits there. It takes 45 minutes to eat a small thing of macaroni and cheese. By the way, what time did you get that food today?
Probably maybe about 12-ish.
It's 3:25 and you haven't finished eating yet.
You got to spread out your portions.
See, so this is why we could flex. I never got a chance to see Pele. You did. Scoreboard.
I had that opportunity. A couple friendlies when we were living in Latin America. We were living in Chile.
By the way,
and
I hate that term, friendlies.
Well, they do call them amistosos over there. So, but they do get a little chippy come second half. That's when the teams, it's no longer friendly. They're starting to play for the victory. And Pelé started off kind of easy. Second half, he turned it up a notch. Wasn't quite at the level he was back in his World Cup years, but he was still an amazing talent.
Competitive.
It just blew my mind.
All right, I like
his
that.
ability.
I like that. Hey, get out of here. I got to go. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. Again, so first it was Booney who was calling. Now it's my son Rigney who's calling. Dude, do you guys not get that the radio show goes on between 3 and 6? I asked Riggs that the other day, and he goes, I don't know. I'm in New York. I don't know what time it is out there.
Time zones are always different.
Where am I going next? Al? Al on line 2. Al, welcome. You're on Wildcats Radio 1290. Greatest athlete you've ever seen with your own two eyes. Bear down. What do you got?
Hi, Rich. How you doing?
I'm great, Al. How are you?
Good. Super. I just wanted to respond to the greatest Wildcat athlete. One time in conversation with Lute Olson, he told me that the greatest athlete he ever had on the team was Brian Williams. So that's pretty impressive source there. I think as a second person, I think it would be hard to argue with Kenny Lofton. Remember when he, in the Great Alaska Shootout, when he ran down the court and dunked on Sherman Douglas, and then everything he did on the basketball court, and obviously his baseball career speaks for itself.
That's pretty good.
So I think it'll be hard to argue with either of those two.
I might have to figure out a bracket and ask people to throw in names of who we should put on a bracket and do like a field of 32 Arizona Wildcats to figure out who the greatest Wildcat is of all time.
And I'm sure you've seen Kenny Lofton in person. He is still ripped. He is still ripped. He is unbelievable.
I like that. All right, thank you for the call. I appreciate that. You know what? We're going to work on that. Do like a field of 32. I'd put on, you'd put on Brewski.
Well, you put Brewski. You'd have to put in
Hundley,
Ricky
Chuck
Hundley.
Cecil, Gronk.
You'd have to put
Nick
Tito.
Foles.
Tito
Francona,
but
Kenny Lofton.
We both know, I think, who we put as the number one seed for us here at 1290 is none other than the captain, Kelvin Ifon.
Nice job sucking up to Kelvin. Thank you very much. We'd put on Steve Kerr.
Got to put in Sean Elliott.
Luke Walton. JT.
JT Snow, yeah, we got to put him in there.
Well, both JTs, Jason Terry and JT Snow.
JT Snow and Jason Terry.
And Jason Terry. Ben Matherman would probably get a nod.
Probably a sleeper in that would probably be Trevor Hoffman.
Yeah. You know what? We'll work on that. Mm-hmm. We will work on that. By the way, just quick reminder, coming up on the program. You know what? I invited somebody to come on to talk with me because you're no help. Because you are not going to watch Doctor Strange, and I went to go catch the late showing of Doctor Strange last night because it opened up.
Right.
And I told everybody, ask me about Doctor Strange.
How's Doctor Strange?
It was.
Oh, it's a strange movie.
It was very strange. Like, it's a good thing I didn't eat peyote before I walked in there because I might have had a nervous breakdown.
I'm gonna.
What?
I don't. Can you get away with that? Can you say that?
With what?
Peyote?
Eating peyote?
Can you talk about peyote?
I could have said. I'm glad he didn't shoot up heroin before I went to go see it.
Okay, yeah, no, definitely don't want to do that.
No, I'm glad it was in my right mind.
You don't want to do that regardless of the movie you're going to go see.
I didn't take magic mushrooms as I walked in to see the show because it was crazy. It was strange. And I watched all the Disney Plus TV shows getting ready for the movie.
Right.
And I had to go home and watch. There's a YouTube channel called Screen Crush. I had to go home and have him explain the movie to me because when I walked out, there were a bunch of other nerds with me watching the movie.
Right.
I'm not a nerd, but I am a fanboy.
Right.
So to speak. Not as bad as you, but I can go fanboy. Like, there were kids that were dressed up as Marvel superheroes going to see the movie.
Oh, yeah. No, that happened back with the sequel to The Matrix when people would come dressed as characters from the movie of The Matrix. So,
Star Wars or any other Marvel's movie. And I've been to Comic-Con, so I'm not without my nerd qualifications.
Right.
But as I was walking out and I was like trying to eavesdrop on the other nerds, they were all like, what the heck was that?
Mm-hmm.
Had no idea. So I actually, one of our other radio stations down in Alabama, Jocks 94.5, they have a guy down there who's their Marvel and superhero and movie guy. I actually invited him to come on the program in the next hour so he can help explain to me what in the world I just saw. Because it was strange.
Best of luck.
Yeah. I wish you would have seen it. I wish you were into Marvel.
I'm so far behind I would not be able to catch anything, would I?
Okay. We could have dressed up like Iron Man and Captain America to go see it last night.
They're both gone though. They're not in there anymore, are they?
We could have dressed up like them.
True.
Which superhero would you dress up as? No, don't answer that. We'll continue. Brett Boone joins us next. Here on 1290.
And this is David Amata, and this is what's trending now on 1290 here at 3:37. The Arizona men's tennis team will be heading to the second round of the national tournament after defeating Princeton 4-2 as they now await the winner of Navy and North Carolina out at Chapel Hill. And Arizona softball currently out at Cal as they take on the Bears in a critical set for them. Top of the second inning with a runner on first, but still no score between the Wildcats and the Bears. And for Game 3 of the NBA Eastern Conference semifinals, the Philadelphia 76ers will see if Joel Embiid can go as he clears concussion protocol. He was out at warm-ups for the Sixers tonight. We'll see if he can go ahead and suit up for them. And ahead of Saturday's lightweight championship fight at UFC 274, champion Charles Oliveira became the first reigning champion in UFC history to be stripped of the belt for missing weight after he came in just a half a pound over the limit for his fight against challenger Justin Gaethje. And that's what's trending locally and nationally on 1290. Still more to come on the Rich Herrera Show. This is Wildcats Radio 1290.
On Wildcats Radio 1290.
We continue with you. It's a Friday edition of the Rich Herrera Radio Show. Tucson, Arizona will take on the University of Southern California. Coming up a little bit later, it's a 3-game set. Cats need to take all 3 for their RPI. Can't afford to slip up against the Trojans, who are scuffling right now. So let's go out and be joined right now by one of our favorite Trojans. He's a friend of the program, Brett Boone, major leaguer, joining us here on Wildcats Radio 1290. Booney, how are you?
Hey, Rich. Doing well. Wow, big matchup, huh?
Big matchup.
Wildcats against the Trojans. I might have to get out to a game. I was going to try to make it out there Saturday. It's touch and go, though. We'll see.
Well, the reason we're bringing you on today is we were supposed to talk to Chip Hale last week, but he couldn't make the broadcast over here because he was doing some podcast somewhere. Do you know anything about that?
That's right. Bigger fish to fry, Rich. Know your space.
Know your role and shut your
podcast.
mouth.
That's right. Play second base, as you tell me. Chip Hale, when he gets a call from the Boone podcast, he gets his priorities in line. Now, it was great. Chip came on the program. I've known Chip for years and years. Matter of fact, U of A was my dream school, and Chip Hale was, believe it or not, the man that took me on my recruiting trip, where you take the high school recruits out and you give them a few beers and then you put them to bed. So Chip was my host when I went to the University of Arizona my senior year in high school. And I'll tell you what, Chip Hale was like my hero, because at the time those Wildcats were great. They were winning College World Series. Chip Hale was a second baseman, and I just thought, wow, I want to be like Chip Hale. So it was cool catching up with him and just going through his journey. He's done it all now. He went from college player to pro to, Major League Baseball. He got some years in with the Twins, and then he went into the coaching business and became a big league manager. Now he's a Division I coach. There's not too many things Chip has left to do in the game of baseball.
How'd you like having him on the show?
I loved it. It was fun to talk to him because he came at it from a different perspective. He was a guy that came to Minnesota early in his career, and Chuck Knobloch was kind of his blocker. He was the second baseman there in Minnesota. Everybody knows Chuck Knobloch. And Chip was up and down. I talked about my first year in the big leagues. We were they call it the shuttle. I would go up and down. Lou Piniella would send me up and he'd bring me up, send me down, bring me up, send me down. Well, Chip kind of said he was on that roller coaster for 7 or 8 years. So just a different perspective, a different set of glasses for his journey in professional baseball versus mine. It was really interesting. And how he went up the coaching ranks and then became a manager, a bench coach, a third base coach, all the differences of the jobs he's had throughout the years. Really interesting. And from a fan's perspective, a lot of real insight that you don't hear every day. It's kind of behind the curtain type stuff.
I mean, this job that he has, and we'll hear Arizona take on USC here in just a bit. I mean, he's always been a developmental guy with his time with the Diamondbacks, and then working with the young players that he has. And now he has the best of both worlds, so it's still development, but it's trying to win in the Pac-12. So he has unique credentials, and I'm not sure how unique they are compared to everybody else, because you're looking. Willie Bloomquist, your former teammate, is coaching the school up north. We see Eric Wedge, who spent time as a big league manager. He's at Wichita State. Jose Cruz Jr., I believe, is at Rice. There's quite a few people that have had some major league experience as a manager, coach, that are coming back to coach in the college ranks. And in your day, that was unheard of.
It was unheard of, and we touched on that topic, and he said, yeah, it's a new day and era. It's 2022. He's really enjoying himself. I mean, he's bringing that it's kind of a fresh new challenge for him, you know. And he said the biggest challenge is that recruiting process, and he's leaning on a lot of his assistants to really help him through that. Guys with experience, guys that have been there and done that on the college side. Chip's really leaning on them on the recruiting side to help him navigate through. But he's really enjoying himself coaching. You know, he doesn't need any perspective there. He's done it all. And I think Chip is a really good guy. He's a knowledgeable guy. He's been an everyday player. He's been a backup player. He's been a third base coach. He's been a bench coach. He knows it all, and he's going to bring a little bit of the pro game to the college side, which I think is great for these kids. And yet he also realizes they're really in their developmental stages, and they can learn a lot from him. So he said he's having a blast. It's a new adventure. It's cool. I mean, he's at his alma mater. He couldn't be happier, you know, 30 some odd years later, but he seems to be having a great time, and it's definitely an interesting journey for Chip Hale.
Brett Boone joining us right now, friend of the program, our guest here on Wildcats Radio 1290. You did player development, and you've worked with kids, and, you know, your son's playing minor league baseball right now. We had Ed Vosberg on yesterday, who you know has worked with my son, giving him pitching lessons. You worked with kids. How hard is it, once you're a big leaguer, to teach your craft and your skills to someone else?
Well, I think the fun part for me was when I came back. I did it a couple years with the Oakland A's organization, and I was just assistant to the general manager. So basically, I'd work 6 to 9 days a month. I'd go to the affiliates. I'd put a uniform on. I'd go down on the field, and I'd hang out in the dugout during the game, and we'd talk the game. And I loved it. You know, I liked it a lot more than on the big league side coaching. You know, when you get to the big leagues, you're expected to be a big leaguer, and you're supposed to know all this. The learning is over with. That's for the minor leagues. That's why I really love the minor leagues. If I could give a little piece of wisdom to a guy in, say, low A or high A ball that helps them get to the next level. I think back when I was 20, 21 years old, and if I would have known what I knew when I was 31, how much farther ahead I would have been. That's what I try to do with these guys. And each individual player is different. You know, certain kids are ready for higher level thought process when it comes to hitting, as an example. And certain guys aren't ready for that. You got to be able to decipher that, choose the guys that can handle it, choose the guys that can't, and go that route. It was interesting for me because when you walk into the room and you have a resume, you get instant credibility with the players. They're like sponges. They want to hear all your stories. They want to hear, you know, how to play, what you did in this situation. But then you got to have content to back that up. You know, that initial credibility wears off if you don't have anything that can help them down the line. So I really enjoyed it. I really loved the one-on-one and the stories. And I just loved watching the game. And it's the sixth inning and a third baseman would come up to me, all right, Booney, this situation, when you were in it, what was your thought process for this next at bat? And we go into a scenario. Okay, who's pitching? What's he done this series? What's the score of the game? Who's hitting in front of you? Who's hitting behind you? Have you done this series? And we go through that time and time again. That's really the stuff that I'm really passionate about, and I really love doing it.
Which is tougher for you? Talking about the mental side of the game of organizing your strike zone, or the mechanics of here's how I load my hands, here's how I start my stride?
Well, that's a no-brainer for me. The mental side is simple because I know everything I'm saying is accurate. You know, I know how to hit, but that doesn't mean physically I can teach you the mechanics of the swing, you know, and it's kind of humbling. You know, you work with these players and you think, well, just do this because I automatically do that. My Brett Boone's body does that. Well, I've come to realize over years and experience that maybe because that worked for me, that doesn't work for Joey, or that doesn't work for Dave. His body doesn't react the same way. And it's made me a couple times go, oh, okay. Well, I thought it worked that way for everybody. No, that's an individual. Hitting is a very individualized skill. And the best ones can just give you a little piece of advice or stoke something in your brain that clicks with you and go, oh yeah, I remember that. So I really like the mental side. The physical side, kind of tougher for me. I was pretty unique, unorthodox on my approach at the plate. I had my top hand wrapped and my elbows out and everything was tight to my body. Not too many hitters hit like I did. So it's really tough to translate the physicality to a current player. But the mental side and thinking through the game, thinking through your at-bats, thinking through a 162-game schedule. It's all about discipline, sticking with your program and not wavering. That's what I can really help somebody with. As far as the physical stuff, I'm still learning, but I'm a work in progress.
Could you take a NARP? You know what that is, right?
I have no clue, Rich.
A NARP. Rigney taught me this today, my son. Non-athletic regular person.
Well, that's a high ask.
Could you take a NARP like me and work with me for 2 weeks and put me in the cage, and I'd make contact with the fastest pitch at D-bat inside their batting cages?
I think without a doubt I could do that.
Okay.
Now, putting you against a non-NARP, I think you would have no chance. But yes, I could get you to a point where you could touch that fastest pitch. Yes, I can get you a point. Now, you put a real live arm and a real live professional behind that pitch, if he doesn't want you to hit it, you're not going to hit it. But a machine, yes, I can get you to that level.
Okay, well, we'll have to work on that. Brett Boone joining us right now. By the way, just to remind everybody, his podcast is phenomenal. And today's guest on the Boone podcast, and you can download it wherever you get your podcast, is Chip Hale, our very own University of Arizona baseball coach, is his guest this week, and they had a great conversation. All right, a couple things. Yesterday, we were out at Rusty's. Guy walking around, listens to the show. Huge New York Yankee fan. Was wearing his camouflage New York Yankee cap. So we were talking about Uncle Aaron. Of course, if folks don't know, Brett's brother is the skipper of the New York Yankees. They have the best record in baseball, and we were talking about it. So he wanted me to ask you, what happened to the Yankees? Did Aaron instantly get smarter, better looking, and more charming, and that's why the Yankees are better than they were last year? Or is there something bigger than that?
Yeah, Aaron Boone just became a Hall of Fame manager overnight. That it's funny to me, to see the Twitter and the Instagram light up with comments when teams are doing good or bad. And as a fan, you're right. And it's fun, and what makes baseball and sport. But it just goes to show you get better players, you get a better team, you win. Isn't that a coincidence? I think the big change for the New York Yankees that's made the biggest difference so far, and it hasn't been talked about too much, is the defense behind the plate. And I'm talking about the catching position. As a player, I always underappreciated, I think, what a great defensive catcher, and not only defensively, but a guy that really worked good with a pitching staff and really had that one-on-one relationship. It's almost like a second baseman and a shortstop, that communication. There's certain guys that you just get on that wavelength and you can't really explain it, but it's special. Having that catcher, having those pitchers coming to the ballpark every day, knowing what they're getting behind the plate, being satisfied with it, feeling comfortable from a psychological standpoint, I don't think it can be measured. And I think that's the biggest thing I've seen, biggest change in the Yankees there. And that's why they're at the top of baseball with their record. Also, and I think this we can't pass this up without saying the health of the Yankees. That's been the biggest problem for them over the last 3 or 4 years, just keeping those big boys healthy. I think for the first time, 1 through 9, they're staying healthy. That pitching staff is healthy. They're dinged up a little bit in the bullpen here and there, but that bullpen's so strong that they're able to go through little knick-knack injuries. They're a scary team if they can remain healthy throughout the entire season. easier said than done. We'll see. Off to a great start, and obviously, you know, I've never been a Yankee fan, but now at this point with the family ties, it kind of forces me to those pinstripes against my better judgment. But yeah, I'm always, you know, I always got one eye on my brother, and I always wish him the best.
Do you guys will you flip on MLB Network if the Yankees are on just to see what they're doing?
Sure. Now, you know, I'm going through games during the week. I have certain games I need to see and find out, kind of put my finger on the pulse of the team, see what's going on. Sometimes I need to physically see guys throw and pitch and hit. So I'll watch certain games. I'll always pop on the Yankee game to see how Aaron and the boys are doing, and they've been impressive so far. I'll stay away. They just went on a 10-game run where they won 10 in a row, and I haven't talked to Aaron in 2 weeks. You know, I wasn't going to be the one to call them in the middle of that streak, and they lose the next day. And even though it's not my fault, of course, deep in the back of people's minds, they think, well, Brett called last night, and all of a sudden we lost. So I stayed away from them. Now they lost the game. Good time I can catch up with Aaron, talk a little golf, and see how the kids are doing.
Is it weird? I mean, you grew up watching your dad, Bob, so you saw him on TV as a kid growing up, and obviously, you know, you were on TV, and Aaron was on TV on different teams, but just watching your brother, I mean, I watch the post-game show sometimes, and they'll show him on SportsCenter or on Fox, and there he is leaning back in the manager's office. I'm like, dude, that's Uncle Aaron is the skipper of the Yankees. Does it ever seem surreal?
It's funny to me. I watch him, and I know his quirks, and I know him far too well, so I kind of watch with a different pair of lenses. You know, I just want to say, I think he's done such a good job, you know, with all the trials and the tribulations that organization has been through 4 years. He's had 200 100-win seasons. They, you know, in the ultimate, and especially in New York. That's great. That's all well and good. But give us a World Series championship, and in New York particularly, you're judged on championships. So one day maybe he'll bring it home. Now, it's not weird for me seeing him. You know, I know he's ready for the job. I know he's as prepared as anybody. He's a lot like my dad, Rich. You know, and I used to watch my dad, and you know, we're different. We're oil and water. Me and my dad and Aaron and Dad being more similar, to where they really grind it out. And I mean, they're starting first thought in the morning when they wake up is, what kind of lineup am I going to put out there today? They're getting to the ballpark at noon. They're the last person to leave. Aaron called me a few nights ago, left me a text. He was staying at the ballpark. You know, they had a day game the next day. His house is only 40 minutes away, but that's how their brains work. Mine's a more of a laid back approach. Yes, I take it very serious, but there's only so much I can control, and I know that. So I kind of have a different approach to it. No, neither approach is right or wrong, just different. But it's interesting to watch. I see so much of my dad in Aaron.
60 seconds we have left. Today is the birthday of the great Willie Mays, the Say Hey Kid. Who's the best player you ever saw with your own two eyes?
Not even close. Barry Bonds. His nephew. Say hey, kid's nephew.
Godson.
All right.
Hey, listen, this is the Boone Pod. This isn't the Boone podcast, but we do need to keep our standards.
We need to be accurate. I got it.
And the reason I say that, folks, is when we're talking about the Boone podcast and I give Brett something that's not correct, he will bust my chops. Yeah, listen, this is the Boone podcast. There's a standard.
Right. We're calling it TBP now, the Boone Podcast. I like TBP. It's quick. It's easy. All capital letters.
I love it. All right. Barry Bonds, best player you ever saw. Why?
Close. Don't know. It's just, it was obvious, you know, to us, the players that played with and against him. And I think it's unanimous. If you took a poll from 1988 to 2008, every player that ever played in the big leagues, I think you get 95% the same answer. It's Barry Bonds. He was just so much better than the second best player. You know, I remember, Rook, one day being in San Francisco, playing second base, watching Barry, and I was having one of the best year I ever had. I had 130 RBIs. I was hitting 330. I had 30 some odd home runs, and it was the end of the year. And I was watching Barry hit, and I just was thinking to myself, I didn't say anything, but I just thought, this guy is so much better than me. It's ridiculous. It was like watching somebody playing slow pitch softball on the weekend, and the rest of us were playing big league baseball. That's how big the discrepancy was. Never seen anything like it.
Check out the Boone Podcast wherever you get your podcast. His special guest this week is Chip Hale. Booney, thank you so much. I'll catch up with you soon.
Rich, it was a pleasure. Thank you.
All right, we'll continue. This is Wildcats Radio 1290. Rich Rare Radio show rolls on. Do we sound okay? My microphones are all goofy today.
No, we sound good.
Is that okay? Right there?
Yeah,
all
we
right.
sound good.
At least I do. How about you?
I mean, I think I sound okay.
You look good today.
Thank you.
I'm looking at you on the Dragon Ball cam. We're back streaming today on YouTube and Facebook Live and on our website, wildcatsradio1290.com. Our thanks to Mark Simpson, our engineer, and Josh and Jose. That we're in the middle of the remodeling of our studios and upgrading of the facilities. So we've got new microphone stands and new microphones and processors and headphones, but everything's just, it's a little bit different. So I was making sure that I was talking into the right microphone.
Everything is now in a workable state, and that is the most important thing right now.
Okay. Oh, by the way, Rigney called during the show.
Right.
Did you hear that when you hear the barking? That's his ringtone.
Yeah, the dogs.
Does it come across? Does it come over the air? A little bit?
It's a faint, but it doesn't like overpower you when you're talking. No.
So it's just kind of the background. Is it annoying?
I mean, only as annoying as, like, again, we just talked about, you talked about going to Doctor Strange in the movie theater. Only as annoying as, like, if someone's phone goes off in the theater.
Well, that's annoying.
I mean, for some people it is. For me, I don't mind. I just like, hey, if someone forgot to turn their phone on silent, it's not a big issue to me.
So he called. He was excited.
Right. What's he excited about?
He called. He was excited. So he's almost done with his plebe year, his freshman year.
Oh.
At the academy. So they're the last plebe class. I think at the Air Force Academy they call them dualies. They're not. So they have ranks. So if you're a freshman, once you get past being a plebe, you're a fourth classman. When you're a sophomore or third classman, when you're a junior, you're a second classman. When you're a senior, you're a first classman. So he's still a plebe. So he's been a plebe for the last 2 years because he had to repeat his freshman year because he had some academic troubles. And then he had spent a year in the ROTC program before that. So he's actually the world's oldest plebe. But he got excited. Tonight they had a regimental talk. So he said, he had to go put on my dress whites, looking like a Maverick from Top Gun. And he said, Dad, I'm sorry, I know the show's on, but I got to tell you something. So what's wrong? What's wrong? What's going on? Because that's what dads do. Oh. He goes, no, we had the greatest talk ever. So he said they had a retired Navy SEAL come in to talk to the regiment. So all the students, the entire student body got together in their dress uniforms to hear a talk from a Navy SEAL. And he said that this gentleman was a maverick, meaning he started as an enlisted man and then made his way up to being an officer in the SEAL teams. And he was on one of the East Coast SEAL teams, maybe SEAL Team 4, served with Marcus Luttrell.
Oh, okay.
The lone survivor. So he was telling the kids stories, I should say the students stories about serving in the SEAL teams, but his big thing was about failure. And there was a time where he almost got kicked out of the SEALs because he had made some tactical errors. And he had to stand before the leader of his team and explain why and justify why they should keep him on the teams. And they thought about, and they said, you know what, you need to go to do some more training. And he fought his way back, and he told the kids about not giving up. Failure, everybody fails. You just have to learn how to get back up, dust yourself off, and go back and get after it again. So he gave a great talk. And then in the end, he said he had qualified to go to SEAL Team 6 training. So the screening process, because there's East Coast SEALs, which are the even numbers. West Coast SEALs are the odd numbers. So SEAL Team 6 is located on the East Coast, and that's the one they draw from all the other SEAL teams to get them to SEAL Team 6. And they had qualified to go through the SEAL Team selection process. A couple days before he was supposed to, he was out on maneuvers and got injured. Lost part of the use of his arm, lost his nose. His nose got blown off, and his legs. And then he put his life back together after sustaining all those injuries. And he goes around and he gives motivational speeches. So he's at the academy today talking to all the midshipmen. So Riggs was so excited, he had to call and tell me about all the things that he talked about And then it was interesting as we were chit-chatting during the commercial that it's a lot of things that the coaches talk to us about subtle adjustments, don't give up, catch your breath. So he said, Dad, there was a lot of stuff in there that he talked about, but I understood because of all these things that you and I have talked about over the years when it comes to sports. That was kind of cool. So that's why he called in the middle of the show.
It doesn't sound that dissimilar to what we were talking about 2 days ago when we were talking about Stanley Berryhill III and his constant fighting against the odds and people saying that he probably couldn't do it, such and such and so on. You have to have that motivation to keep yourself moving forward when no one else is telling you that it's possible.
Could you imagine you're Stanley Berryhill III and they tell you, well,
you're a little small.
You're not going to make it. Sorry, no one's going to offer you a scholarship. And you just have to keep believing in yourself. And for this gentleman that, he had to fight his way onto the teams and fight his way through to become an officer. And then when he gets there, they say, you know what, you're not cutting it. We're going to let you go. And it would have been real easy to just tap out. Okay, I quit. But he said, no, what do I need to do? I'm not going to give up. Quitting is not something in my DNA. And they ended up sending him to Ranger School, is what Rigney told me. And he went to Ranger School because he needed to learn. He needed some leadership training, and then came back and was an all-star on the team. So that's why he called during the program. I thought that was pretty cool. Today's program brought to you by PGA Tour Superstores. PGA Tour Superstore. They're located on Oracle in Limberlost. They're just around the corner here from the radio station. Shop with the pros at PGA Tour Superstores. Here's the deal. If you're still shopping for Mother's Day, Rigney actually did a good job. He got his mom something for Mother's Day, shipped it out for the Academy, so hopefully she'll have it in time for Mother's Day. If not, I'm going to go get him a little backup. She was in there the other day and found some really great, she said, cute golf shirts. And there is a pair of shorts she wanted in there. They've got a wide selection for men, for women, of all the golf apparel you need. And here's the deal. If you're looking for something great for your mom for Mother's Day, for your wife for Mother's Day, because you got to get them for your kids because the kids don't know how to go shopping on time, I got a deal for you. Go into PGA Tour Superstore, purchase something for $100. Here's what you do. You go in there and you get her a really nice golf shirt, 3/4 zip, maybe some shorts, maybe some golf pants, and then you go get yourself 5 dozen golf balls. Or get yourself a putter. Go get yourself something as well, because here's the deal. We've got a hookup for you. Go into PGA Tour Superstore. Tell them that you heard about it on Wildcats Radio 1290, and they'll take $20 off a purchase of $100. They'll take $50 off a purchase of $250 or more. Now, restrictions do apply. Ping, Titleist, FootJoy, not included in this promotion. But go in there and tell them, hey, I heard about it on Wildcats Radio 1290. I listened to the Rich Rivera show. They'll take $20 off your purchase of $100, $50 off your purchase of $250. You get her a great Mother's Day present, and you can get yourself a new pair of golf shoes. Everybody wins at PGA Tour Superstore. Check them out, Oracle and Limberlost here in Tucson. There's news this morning as well. Wanted to pass along another congratulations to our very own Tommy Lloyd. He's been added to Team USA's 18 and under on-court coaching staff. Hooray! Don't you have applause or something? Golf clap?
Not on hand, but I can do it myself.
No, that's weak. Tommy Lloyd added to the staff. So here's what happens. As they bring in all the kids that are going to try out for the 18 and under team, they need a bunch of coaches on court. So he's an on-court coach, which means he's going to be running the drills. He's going to be running the scrimmages. He's going to be coaching. He's going to help with practice. When they have team on team, he'll be coaching one of those teams. It's a pretty big deal for a couple of reasons. Number one, just to be recognized on our national coaching staff, you have to be one of the best coaches in the country. Number two, you know what? If you're going to go out and recruit, you also get a chance to see the kids that are 18 and under. So you're going to see the best 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds that are trying to make this team. That's got to help amongst the AAU crowd that one day you would like to see play here in Tucson. And then just wearing that Team USA red, white, and blue has got to be something pretty cool. So congratulations to Tommy Lloyd for being named to Team USA's on-court coaching staff. That's a pretty big deal for a first-year coach for the University of Arizona. By the way, one other thing to pass along as far as Basketball goes to the U of A. Couple tweets today. The DT is turning some heads and outplaying a lot of the kids that have declared for the NBA draft. He's been working out at some of the pre-draft workouts. He's been showing off his stuff. They say that he is head and shoulders, just crushing it right now and really impressing some folks that are evaluating some of the other players that have already graduated, coming out, and are ready to go. So that's great for Dalen Terry. Again, I'm leaning with conventional wisdom that he will come back to the University of Arizona. Listen, there's a chance he could go into the NBA. That's great. Good for him. We're going to wish him nothing but the best. But I have a feeling he comes back, improves his draft status. It gets to be a lottery pick in a year from now, like Ben Mathurin. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. But he's been turning some heads at the NBA pre-draft camps that are going on. All right, coming up on the program, I went to go see Doctor Strange last night, and it was strange. It's so strange that not even Dragon Ball could talk about it. So John Saber from our sister station, Jocks 94.5 out in Alabama, he's a big Marvel guy. He's going to explain it to me coming up next. This is Wildcats Radio 1290. Our web cameras are all messed up in here. I think I bumped something. Oh, well. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Rich Rare Radio Show. It is a Friday. Some of you are going to be going out this weekend to see Doctor Strange. So somebody asked me afterwards, because I went to go see the late showing last night, how was Doctor Strange? I said it was, because it was a strange, odd movie, and I have no idea how to describe it to anybody. So I had to go look for some help. John Saber works at our sister station, Jocks 94.5 in Alabama. He's a big Marvel guy. He goes on the station and explains to the olds like me everything about the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I said, John, you got to come in here and explain this to me and our listeners to help us understand the movie that I just saw that I'm having to watch YouTube videos to figure out. So John Saber joining us right now here on Wildcats Radio 1290. John, how are you?
I'm well, Rich. Thank you so very much for having me.
Okay. You saw Doctor Strange last night, correct?
I did.
Okay.
Yes.
I saw Doctor Strange last night. And I've been talking about it for the last 2 weeks. There's a couple movies I can't wait to see. One of them is Thor. One of them is the new Top Gun movie. And the first one I was excited to see.
I'm excited for that one, too.
Yeah, in fact, I'm thinking of going to New York for the premiere and going to take my son to see it, who goes to school back there. That's how excited we are to see the Top Gun movie. But one of the other ones I was waiting to see to kick off the summer movie, just a little bit before Memorial Day, was Doctor Strange 2, whatever it is.
Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
There you go. So it was madness because I thought I was prepared. I saw WandaVision. I watched all the videos on YouTube that explain the Easter eggs in WandaVision. Then I went out and I watched Loki. And I watched all the Easter eggs with Loki. So I thought I did my prerequisite work to watch Doctor Strange. And I still walked away scratching my head. So I'm hoping you can shed some light without giving any spoilers as people get ready to watch it this weekend.
Okay. If you're going in to see Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and this is your first Marvel movie or first MCU movie, first comic book movie, you are going to be confused. Make sure you go with someone that is at least up to date with the Marvel, not only movies, but the Disney Plus. Part of the synergy when Disney bought Marvel a couple of years ago is because they wanted to put their properties and tell their stories at home and streaming, and so that way you can have multiple ways to consume their product. The problem is with having one storyline but having it in multiple different places, it's very easy to miss something. Like you said, if you aren't fully caught up, you might get left behind. Now, all of that to say, you can enjoy this movie without having seen everything. You may just not understand everything that happened. So for those that may not know everything that's fully going on, let me give you the basic concept of the movie. There's this thing called, it's in the title, the multiverse. We exist currently in a universe where there's one me, there's one Rich, there's one President Joe Biden, there's one former President Donald Trump. This way I don't make anybody mad.
There you go. I like that.
There's one of each and every single person out there. But there is an idea in physics that every decision you make, every possible outcome or whatever, I've got a bottle of water in front of me. If I were to have Aquafina instead of Dasani, well, the one I chose creates a different universe. The one I chose was Dasani. This other one was Aquafina. And now those two separate decisions now create two separate universes with two separate me's, with two separate Bidens, with two separate Trumps, and all like that. So every decision that you've maybe made throughout your life creates a different universe. Now imagine that for every person across the entire world. That is a multiverse. Now, generally, you're never going to find that person, know that person, whatever exists. But this is the fun of Marvel. What if you actually found out that, hey, there's a better version of me? What if, by chance, say, your son, Rich, what if he went to the superior school? What if he went to West Point? What if he went to Army instead of Navy? I'm sorry, I've got a cousin that went to Navy, or he went to Army, so I'm just going to throw that out there.
So in a multiverse, the University of Alabama could be on a 20-game losing streak, and the University of Arizona could be the multiple national champions.
There is a universe out there that in which that happens. That's the theory of the multiverse, that every possible anything out there. There's a University of Alabama head coached by Mike Price right now. There is a University of Arizona that's head coached by Teddy Bruschi right now. That's the concept that we're playing in this film. But with that, we've got a couple of worlds colliding. Like me talking SEC football in your Pac-12 kind of heavy audience, we've got worlds colliding. We've got worlds colliding on the screen with Benedict Cumberbatch, directed by Sam Raimi, and Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Doctor Strange finds out that there are more of him out there, and they're not all as diligent about following the rules like he is. And that therein lies the conflict of this movie.
Now, as I walk out with all the rest of the nerds like me who ran out to see it on day one, a bunch of them were just shaking their head, and they're like, I don't get it. What is this? I kind of felt like the movie was a conduit to get us to phase 3 of the MCU.
Okay, well, number one, if the nerds are walking out feeling that way, this must have been their first ever movie, because I would say 60 to 90% of all Marvel content is pushing you to the next thing. To be fair, that's a good business model. You can enjoy what you got, but hey, come and get the next thing. I'm gonna let your audience in on a little secret. You do radio, I do radio. We have this little thing called a tease, where we want to say something to make you stick around, even though we have to go away for a little bit, pay some bills, and go to a commercial break. We have a thing called a tease. We want to entice everybody listening to stick around. Like, for example, hey, I know exactly who's going to win the NBA championship. I will tell you why the Phoenix Suns will win coming up next. That's the tease, and that's what Marvel has perfected in doing all of their movies. When you sit there for the 2-ish hours, you enjoy everything on the screen, but they give you a little tease at the very end to let you know, hey, is that Samuel L. Jackson just popping up in the middle of this at the end of this movie that we had no idea he was in, saying, hey, you're part of a bigger universe, you just don't know it yet. So they waited till the very end to throw in Samuel L. Jackson. Okay, I've got to see the next one. I want to know more. And that's what Marvel, I thought, was doing with this one. They're telling you a story, but also letting you know, hey, we've got a little bit more coming on. So make sure you stick around and come to the next thing.
All right, here's one spoiler I will throw out to everybody that's going to go see it tonight and over the weekend. There are 2 post-credit scenes, so make sure you stay to the very bitter end for both post-credit scenes. What should people know before they go see this movie? Do I need to go see all the Lokis? Do I need to go see all the WandaVisions? Do I need to see the last Avengers movie? What do I need to see?
I think what you need to have seen to fully understand everything that's gone on, if you've seen the first Doctor Strange, if you've seen all of WandaVision, and if you've seen the 2 more recent Avengers movies, Endgame and Infinity War, and if you've seen the recent Spider-Man No Way Home, that's enough to at least grasp everything that this movie is going to throw at you. Will you fully understand everything? Maybe not, but that's at least that. Like, let's go back to our college days. This is the prerequisite for taking this class. Those are the things I think you have to see and know and understand to be able to follow everything going on in the multiverse of madness.
All right. Scale of 1 to 10, what did you give the movie?
I would give this movie, I would say a 7.5. Going back to the college grade, that's a solid C. And, hey, C's get degrees.
C's get degrees.
For the record, my minor's in film, so I'm not just some random guy coming on your show. I like to think I have a little bit of knowledge and background in this. But this was a movie that I thought was good, but not great. There was some sloppiness to it. I thought some of the effects at the very beginning were not as polished as they could have been. As much money as Marvel and Disney and all of them have, you can tell when they really, really, really put money behind it. You've seen Avatar. I'm sure your audience has seen Thanos in Infinity War and Endgame. You've seen how good it can be. But then you've also seen some movies that's like, okay, I can tell that's not all that great. I thought the beginning third of the movie wasn't all that great. That said, story-wise, maybe it's a bit overfilled yet underfilled, but there are some moments in this movie that are going to put smiles on your face. This is a horror movie. This is done by Sam Raimi, who cut his teeth being a horror director with the Evil Dead trilogy.
Right.
But it's a Marvel horror movie. It's PG-13. it honestly probably could be PG, except for a couple of – there's some gory things in there, but it's Marvel gore, so it's not like you're not going to vomit.
It's not Saw.
But this movie is PG-13, so it's not R, but it's not PG. But for the exception of some gore, it probably could be PG. But I say that to say that the gore in it is not all that much, but it is still a horror movie, so you would get some horror vibes to it. But I think
okay, so that's now this makes sense to me, because like I tried to get my wife to go with me yesterday, and she goes, I didn't see all of Loki, and it looks weird. I'm not going to go. When I got out of the movie theater, I called her. I said, I'm glad you didn't go. You would have been lost, because until you just told me about the horror aspect of it, the best way that I was describing it was it reminded me when I was a little kid seeing Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band for the very first time on CBS, and it was a cartoon, and I had no idea who the Blue Meanies were, and it just looked like a bunch of hippie stuff. And I told Dragon Ball, our producer, I'm glad I didn't take peyote before I went to go see the movie, because I would have had a nervous breakdown at some of the special effects and weird stuff you saw on screen.
This is Marvel's version of the 3 minute scene in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Bingo.
After Augustus gets pushed into the chocolate river, and then they get on the boat, and all the freaky stuff happens, and then everyone gets scared. You see the chicken with the head cut off. You see Slugworth. Everything just freaking comes at you and scares you. This is a Marvel version of that movie. So you can imagine that ride for 2 hours and 6 minutes, because that's how long this movie is.
Bingo. All right, now I get it. All right, so it opens this weekend. Go see it. Let me know, and then maybe later we'll give everybody a couple days to see it. Then we can put out the spoiler alert, and you can explain to me what's coming next.
I will do my best, and I love that your producer is named Dragon Ball, because as a guy that loves to be called Trunks from time to time, he and I may be on the same wavelength.
Well, you know what happened is he rolls in one day, and he's wearing this goofy hat, and I said, David, what's that hat? And he was so proud. He goes, it's my Dragon Ball Z hat. And I'm like, what? And he goes, it's my Dragon Ball Z hat. And I'm like, dude, you just sealed your own warrant. That is now your name. You are now Dragon Ball.
And to probably maybe taint your thoughts on this a little more, if you go back and rewatch this movie and watch Wanda throw out her magic essence or whatever that is, you can't unsee it now, because you're going to think Kamehameha.
Oh, yeah.
She throws that out, because that's in essence the fireballs that she throws out that Master Roshi taught Goku. That's in essence what she's doing.
We've never been nerdier on this program than before.
Little Kamehameha, a little bit of Hadoken, a little bit of something there.
Yeah.
Thankfully, it's not finger guns like what's his face from Eternals. That to me was like, all right, you could have done a little better than that. But it with Wanda and her powers. By the way, Wanda's the star of this movie. So if you've been dying to see Elizabeth Olsen show all of her talents out there, this is the movie for you.
100%. John, this has been fun. We're going to do this again.
All right, I can't wait. Yeah, let's see. We've got in 3 weeks, Top Gun comes out. Not long after that, Jurassic World Dominion comes out. Thor: Love and Thunder is coming out pretty soon. There is, by the way, also for the first time ever, like there's an Avatar Way of Water. I forgot what the movie's called, but there's an Avatar preview ahead of this that is not online. So the first chance to see the next upcoming Avatar sequel, to see a trailer for it, you've got to go see Multiverse of Madness. So that's in there, but there's a lot coming out in the theater. I'm glad the world's opening back up, and get out to your local theater, people, and I'm glad to jump back on anytime you need me to talk about it.
Wait a minute, Dragon Ball, are you into Avatar?
I'm a little bit into Avatar.
You're just into weird stuff.
I mean, yeah.
He's into Taiwanese puppetry that he gets on the dark web.
No, it's not the dark web. He
goes on the dark web.
It's just on Crunchyroll, man.
He goes on the dark web. He's looking at stuff that I hope that we have our firewalls on the computer in the studios, because I'm not sure this dark web stuff that you're getting over here, Dragon Ball, is not going to get us all in trouble.
Oh, yeah. You may laugh at all the Japanese animation or any of that, but we wouldn't have Star Wars if it wasn't for that. We wouldn't have the Magnificent Seven if it wasn't for our Asian brothers and sisters telling great stories.
You two. Now I'm just not. Now, thanks a lot, John. Now I'm not going to be able to harass him for the rest of the program. Dragon Ball, you actually get a little bit of relief.
Thank
Yeah,
goodness.
look at us producers sticking together.
Look at that. Look at that. Thank you, John.
That's John Sabar. John Sabar joining us from Jocks 94.5 in Alabama. He's going to be along with us for the summer, helping me with all the great movies that are coming out because Dragon Ball is too busy watching stuff on the dark web.
When you pay for that subscription fee, man, you got to make use of it.
Hey, John, yesterday I told people we were out on a remote at a sports bar for Cinco de Mayo, and I told people that he couldn't come with us because his ankle monitor didn't allow him to go past the freeway. And there were a couple of people that actually thought it was true that he is on probation. So I take that back. He's not on the dark web, just in case anybody from our corporate office is listening. Yeah. And he doesn't have an ankle monitor.
Crunchyroll is not the best of names just to throw out there in the wild. It does have a little bit of Chris Hansen Dateline connotation to it.
Yeah, admittedly.
All right, I'm just all nerded out. I got to go. Hey, John, thank you so much. We'll talk to you later.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Rick.
Thanks, appreciate it. He knew what your Dragon Ball thing was.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. It's a lot more popular than what you might imagine.
Oh, you want to know how popular it is?
How's that?
I mean, probably the world's most famous man a couple of years ago had. It's a show, right?
Yeah. Oh no.
You know who watched Dragon Ball?
Who?
Someone who was internationally known. Watch Dragon Ball Z. They found it on. It's on his computer.
I mean,
I'll let you guess. It's somebody. Everybody. It's like worldwide. Everybody knows his name.
I would imagine Mr. Worldwide, maybe like Pitbull.
No, more well known than Pitbull. Think about it. Well, I'll tell everybody by the end of the program. Dragon Ball Z. He watched Dragon Ball Z.
I feel like this might not be the best person. Is it someone that's like this? Is this someone that people like?
Can't tell you.
Oh, I don't know. Then I have no.
No,
clue.
you have to guess. It's somebody. I mean,
I've still got to like.
Everyone on the planet knows who he is.
You saw how long it took for me to figure out my greatest athlete I'd seen in person. I'm going to need to think about this.
All right, think about it. It is like everybody knows the name. Everyone knows the name.
I got to think about it.
You should be scared. We'll continue with you. I got a story. Okay, I got a question for all the moms and dads out there. Would you let your kid do this? I'll tell it to you next year on 1290.
This is David Amata, and here's what's trending on 1290 here at 4:43. An update for Arizona softball as they've had a couple rough innings here against California. The Wildcats now down 5-0 as Arizona will try to go ahead and mount a little bit of a comeback here in the top of the fifth. No outs so far in that inning. And the Wildcats will be hosting their recent signee of Philip Borovikinen as the on campus as they will be looking to have him finally visit campus after signing his letter of intent last month. And the process returns for the Philadelphia 76ers as Joel Embiid did start for the Sixers in Game 3 against the Heat, with the Sixers holding a 8-point lead as the first quarter begins to dwindle to an end. And in the NHL playoffs, Carolina has a 1-goal lead over Boston as the first period nears its end there. And Toronto and Tampa Bay still tied at 0 in the first period of their Game 3. And that's what's trending locally and nationally on 1290. Still more to come on the Rich Herrera Show. This is Wildcats Radio 1290.
If we were to broadcast my telephone calls I get during the break, I think we did a behind-the-scene webcam of all my calls.
Right.
Although I don't know if we could put some of them on there.
Right. I was going to say some of those. I mean, those are important calls. You're trying to schedule stuff for the show with the next.
Yeah, just friends of mine calling during the show. Hey, I was watching on the webcam. You went to commercial. Wanted to call and say hi.
At least they're trying to catch up with you.
My wife does that. Riggs just goes, Dan, I'm at school. I don't know what time. I don't know what time it is in Arizona. I'm in New York and it's cold and rainy today. I said, okay. Well, you're then I'll let you call. And then Boone just calls whenever he wants.
I mean, he's got the universal free pass though, doesn't he?
No, I call him and go, dude, I'm on the air. Yeah, but I want to talk about this. Well, do I have to? Do I go to commercial breaks so we can talk about something I can talk about with you in 30 minutes? Well, okay.
Again, at least they're checking in on you.
It's nice. By the way, did you talk about this in your update? Because I was talking to Booney, I didn't get a chance to listen. Joel Embiid playing today for the 76ers.
The process returns.
The process returns against my Miami Heat. Because again, I'm pulling for the Heat.
Because we both want to see James Harden go out because of the Sun Devil?
Yeah, and then it's going to laugh when they don't give him his max contract and he goes somewhere else. He hasn't earned one. I wouldn't give it to him.
I mean, it's going to be awkward because I'm pretty sure the next year of his contract's a player option. So he's gonna look to potentially opt in for the Sixers, probably get a lot of money, and the Sixers are going to have to make a decision. Either do they run with him next year or they try to unload him.
How old is he?
I want to say he's going to be turning 30. He's 33 right now. He might be turning 34 by the time the next season starts up.
Do you know who's undefeated?
Father Time.
Yep. Am I going to give that much money to a 37-year-old at the end of the contract?
Well, he's not 37.
But I mean, if you keep giving money, and he's 34, he'll be 35. Am I going to give that much money to a 35-year-old?
I mean, if you're a smart GM, you don't.
Right. Bill Walsh said, I'll get rid of you 1 year too early rather than hold on to you 1 year too late. You can't fall in love with your players.
No, it's a business.
You can't be friends with your players. It's a business on both sides.
Although there is potentially two people potentially that have not lost to Father Time as of yet.
Tom Brady. And?
Willie Mays.
That's right.
He's still the greatest baseball player of all time.
Okay, I got a Mother's Day story for you. I want to see if this is a good mom and dad. You ready?
Okay.
I saw this story today. It popped up on my Facebook. The Flying Pig Marathon is in Cincinnati, Ohio. How long is a marathon, Dragon Ball?
Well, this isn't for a marathon. I want to say it's like 8 miles. I don't run.
I could tell.
I don't run, so
how can I not tell? Was it because
I don't wear shoes that have laces? I refuse to wear laces, so obviously I don't run.
How long is a marathon? I think it's 26. How long is people are yelling at the radio right now. You idiots, it's 26 miles.
It's 26 miles.
26.219 miles. Have you ever done a marathon?
No.
I've done a personal marathon.
I've recorded, like for news,
Right.
I've recorded marathons. I've not participated in them, and I don't know if I ever will.
I don't know if this counts, but I've done my own personal marathon twice.
Okay, binge watching a show does not count.
No. Like getting out and walking. I did my own personal. I've done a personal marathon twice where I've walked because I'm not going to run. I'm too fat and old. But I've gone out and walked 26.3 miles. So I've done my own personal marathon. I told you that, right?
Right.
Like when I think I've shared this with everybody. I think everybody knows. I've had heart surgery before. So on the 1-year anniversary of my heart surgery, I said, I'm going to do a personal marathon. I got up in the morning. It took me like 10 hours, but I did it, and I walked 26.3 miles. And then 9/11 2 years ago, I decided I was going to walk. I was only going to do a half marathon, and I walked around my neighborhood with an American flag and stopped every once in a while, and I was just, I don't know, it was just something I wanted to do. And I ended up walking the 13, and I got to 15. I'm like, I might as well keep going. And I got to 20. I go, I might as well put in a whole marathon. And then I messed up, and I walked too far away from my house. And I called my wife and said, okay, I'm at 26.3. She goes, and? Well, come get me. She goes, I'm busy. I'm working. I said, but I'm like 5 miles away from the house. She goes, well, you're going to have to walk back. So I ended up walking a marathon plus because she was mean and wouldn't come get me.
I mean, at that point, you've already walked as it is. I mean, you're
so
already
does that count as a marathon?
I mean, yeah, because you walked the full 26.
Right. So what happens? So the person who did the first marathon, what happened to him as he finished that distance?
I couldn't tell you.
Keeled over and died.
Really?
Yeah.
The first one to ever do it.
Yeah, because he was coming back to warn everybody. It was something like ancient Greece or something like that. And as soon as he got there, gave the message, dead, killed over. So I was going to ask. I got a wonderful Mother's Day story for you. This family in Cincinnati, Ohio, the Flying Pig Marathon in Cincinnati, Ohio. The mom and the dad, 5 siblings plus one more, ran the entire marathon, 26.3 miles. So it was mom and it was dad and 6 siblings. 6 of their kids ran, including their 6-year-old son. What? They forced their 6-year-old to run a full marathon. It took them 8 hours. It took them 8 hours to complete this marathon. How's that for a great mom for Mother's Day? Could you imagine forcing a 6-year-old to run a marathon? Just a quick question. Show of hands, everybody. Is that a good mom or a bad mom that would force a 6-year-old to run a marathon?
No. If you're talking about the first person to ever run a marathon went ahead and keeled over, I don't know if a 6-year-old is the best person to be doing that under any circumstances.
A 6-year-old can't say no. Come on. At 20 miles, the kid said, I'm tired. I don't want to go anymore. And the parents told him, the dad said, listen, if you finish up this marathon with us, we'll get you potato chips.
Yeah, because that's going to be enough to entice me.
Dragon Ball, I want you to run this marathon. I'll get you some chips. I just saw this story, and I was wondering, do you guys think it's child abuse to force a 6-year-old to run a marathon? What kind of parents are those?
Hey, people going to be raising their kids the way they want to raise their kids. My hands are off on that, but I'll just say that for me, I wouldn't do that.
Should I have made Rigney run a marathon at the age of 6?
I don't know if Rigney would be calling you in the middle of the show if you made him run a marathon at the age of 6.
You guys tell me. Good parents, bad parents. 520-848-1290. 520-848-1290. Oh, Johnny wants to talk about the greatest athlete. This is from the first hour. Those of you tuning in, it's Willie Mays' birthday, so I was trying to figure out who's the best athlete you've ever seen with your own 2 eyes. Johnny B, line 1, bear down. Welcome. You're on 1290. How are you?
Doing good. My brother has a autographed Willie Mays baseball.
Oh.
But anyway, hey, my experience with a popular athlete was, remember when we used to have the LPGA here in Tucson?
Yep.
Well, remember the Dick Butkus, it was a Pro-Am tournament before the main tournament?
Okay, yeah, when they used to have celebrity tournaments, sure.
Yeah, this was years ago before Teddy Bruschi was real popular. But Dick Butkus was out there, and I was out there with my daughter just checking things out. And I saw Dick Butkus and Teddy Bruschi. I had met Teddy before. I go, hey, Teddy Bruschi, have you ever met Dick Butkus? And he goes, no, I haven't. I go, well, Dick Butkus, that's Teddy Bruschi. Teddy Bruschi, that's Dick Butkus.
And then did the two of them talk?
Oh, yeah, they did for a while, yeah.
Well, I kind of like that. All right, so let me ask you this. You said you have a daughter, right?
Got 2 of them.
Okay. I just told this story about a family that made their 6-year-old run a marathon. Good parents or bad parents?
Very bad. And they are so lucky that kid didn't, freeze up and die. I mean, that's bad.
All right. That's what I thought. I saw that story, and the family's mad because people are cracking on them like, what are you thinking making a 6-year-old run a marathon?
And I think it was all about, like, the social media stuff. They're probably getting paid for a YouTube video or something, and they're reaping benefits off of it right now.
The 6-year-old challenge. Make your kid run 26.3 miles, and you can make money on YouTube.
I'm sure that's what they're doing.
Probably. Johnny, thanks for the call, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks. Bye.
All right, see ya. How's that for Mother's Day present? Do you like that?
I mean, that can't be the gift for the mom. I mean, that can't be. Having the 6-year-old run a marathon, I don't care how much the mom wants it to be a family thing. Like, there are certain parents that want the family to get together
my brother just took his whole family, all the kids, to Disneyland.
Right. So you can go ahead and try to make it all about the family and try to make I want everyone to go to this movie together. I want us to start going to church together. I want us to go start doing whatever it is that they want to have be a family thing. 26 miles with the 6-year-old should not be in that category.
Or the parents should have been forced to carry the 6-year-old.
I think, yeah. I mean, you would go ahead and look at that as an okay. Who among the organizers allowed the 6-year-old to run?
Well, that's why the marathon organizers are getting yelled at, because you have to be 18 and over to participate, but they allowed the family just to have all the kids run with them.
So did they bring it in where it's like, okay, the kid initially came in on one of those little backpacks?
No, they all
just walked in.
The whole brood stood there and they go, okay, let's go run 26.3 miles.
I don't ever want to go after.
That would be something that I need to bring Bueno We Know Bueno back just for that.
Yeah, no. That's a situation where I don't like to go ahead and call out for people's jobs or anything like that, but somebody needs to go ahead and get looked at for that.
All right. Hey, real quick, program brought to you today by Trajan Wealth. You can reach them at 321-4100, 321-4100. You go to TrajanWealth.com, TRAJAN Wealth.com. All right. Mother's Day is coming up this weekend, right? I know we're going to go up to Phoenix to see my wife's great aunt. We're excited about that. But it's one of those things that you think about with your family. And I don't, not to bum everybody up, but again, this is the anniversary of my mom passing right before Mother's Day. So we all are probably going to be thinking about her. And one of the things I'm going to think about is all the great times we had and how, in her own special way, how much she loved me. In her own special way, how she took care of all of us. And one of the things I've talked about forever since her passing is the foresight she had to put all of her affairs into a trust for my brother, my sister, and myself. So when I went back to California a couple weeks ago, we were able to refinance a house. We were able to take care of all of her bills. We were able to get the cars transferred out of the trust. We were able to do a whole bunch of stuff because she had the foresight of sitting down with someone and planning her estate, and she made it so easy. Are you going to do that for your kids? Have you done that for your kids? Have you thought about doing that for your kids? If you thought about it and haven't reacted, or you need more information, I want you to call my friends from Trajan Wealth, 321-4100, 321-4100. Listen, it's going to happen. Hate to say it. And when it does, it's devastating. It's absolutely devastating. Make their lives a little bit easier the way that my folks did by sitting down with someone who's going to help you plan out your estate and look into a trust. Here's the number, 321-4100, 321-4100, or go to TrajanWealth.com, TRAJAN Wealth.com. Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, and SEC-registered investment advisor. Estate planning services offered through Trajan Estates. All right, we'll give you an update on what's going on in the NBA. Joel Embiid making a big difference. Is it going to be enough to bring the Philadelphia 76ers back? We'll get into that. Preview a little NBA. We'll have the big story, and then in case you missed it, Brett Boone stops by. We'll talk to him about his podcast because he's got Chip Hale on. That's all coming up here on 1290. Rich Rare Radio Show. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Happy Friday, 5 o'clock. It's Mother's Day this weekend. I do have to go get my wife something for Mother's Day. Like, my son did send her something from the academy, but it's not going to get here in time, so I don't know what to go grab her. I'm thinking about, I'm seriously, honestly thinking about going over and getting her some more gear from PGA Tour Superstore. I mean, like, she went in there and she liked the golf shirts, and there was some stuff in there she thought was cute.
Right. Now, do you and her share the Theragun, or is that Theragun just yours?
No, so the Theragun, it's the greatest gift you can ever give anybody, and they have it over at PGA Tour Superstore, so it's a little handheld. I just got the mini. There's like a Mac Daddy one. I just have the mini. So this is going to sound bad. Last weekend, she had to bake 30 dozen cookies.
I'm sorry.
30 dozen cookies. How many is that? 300.
That's 360 cookies.
Yeah, 360 cookies. She baked 360 cookies.
For every degree in a circle.
That's what it was. No, so where Riggs goes to school, at the academy, they have something called the Cookie Cafe. And they have parents of all the midshipmen from around the country bake cookies and send them in, and then twice a month they'll have a little bit of a respite from getting screamed at, yelled at, and told how bad they are. And they'll invite them into the Cookie Cafe, and there's cookies from families all over, but they have to have 1,000 kids walk through there. So she was asked, hey, we're a little short. Can you bake 30 dozen cookies? So last weekend she baked 30 dozen cookies. So when she was there, I walked up with the Theragun and gave her the Theragun massage gun on the shoulders and the back, the shoulder blades, as she was making cookies. That was my contribution.
I imagine that the ingredients to make said cookies had to come out in one of those big dollies at the box stores,
but
right?
she ends up going to the grocery store in the course of a day baking that much. She'll go 2 or 3 times back to the grocery store to get more baking supplies, and the ladies go, "Oh, it's Cookie Cafe time."
Oh,
and then then they ship them back to New York to the academy, and they freeze them, and then they bring them out, they thaw them, and they put them in the oven and heat them up so they're warm cookies for the midshipmen. They have milk and juice and other little snacks for them. So she did the 30 dozen cookies. I think, at the post office, they already know, oh, it's Cookie Cafe time. I want to say, I figured it out the other day, I think she's baked almost 150 dozen cookies this year. Because one time it was for the baseball team, the baseball parents all sent the cookies in. The next time it was the Arizona Parents Association for the United States Merchant Marine Academy. They sent theirs in. Another time it was California, so we're still members of that Parents Association, so she sent them in for those. And then there's a couple times where they just came up short. They go, we desperately need more cookies.
So you're estimating about 150, not counting the 360 that she already did.
Probably. I think that's about where she is.
Oof.
Yeah. Mom of the year. And she didn't make her son run a marathon at the age of 6.
Well, thank goodness for that.
By the way, NBA playoffs coming up this week, and Warriors play tomorrow. That's must-see TV for me. If there's any one game tonight, I know if you're a Suns fan, you want to see them tonight. I know we're watching Joel Embiid come back, and I think the Sixers are up by 10 at home over the Miami Heat. Heat look a little discombobulated with Embiid being in there, being able to match up with Bam Adebayo. But Saturday night, I have to be in front of a television to watch the Warriors and Memphis Grizzlies after everything that's gone on. After Draymond Green was giving the finger off to the fans of Memphis. Now they're going to turn home back to San Francisco. You have Gary Payton II out for the foreseeable future. I don't see him coming back in the playoffs. So you've had some hard fouls. You've had some dirty play. There's some frayed feelings. You've got John Morant thinking that he's the next face of the NBA, and you've got Steph Curry going, Kings have rings, young man. Let's see what happens when we go home. And the Warriors have already stolen home court advantage against the Memphis Grizzlies, so I think that's going to be a monster game coming up on Saturday, those two.
And, for the stealing home court, a lot of people are going to say, oh, that's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. Minnesota stole home court against Memphis in the first 2 games of the series, too. Minnesota is not Golden State, folks. That is not the same team in any kind of stratosphere.
No,
that
not
team
at all.
That team was pleased with getting through the play-in tournament. The
They were just
Warriors
there.
are not accepting anything less than a Western Conference Finals victory.
Well, especially for someone like Gary Payton II, who's well-liked, well-regarded on that team, and he had been a journeyman bouncing around all over the place, and finally he gets an opportunity to start. And then he gets everything just taken away from him like that. It's going to motivate Draymond Green. It's going to motivate Klay Thompson, Poole, Steph Curry. It's gonna be a great game. And for Memphis, they're kind of like Houston. When the University of Arizona played Houston, Arizona plays pretty basketball. The Warriors play pretty basketball. So what do you do when you take on a team that plays pretty basketball? You ugly it up. And Memphis went out there and tried to play really physical against the Warriors and uglied it up. And you saw some hard fouls. You saw some Riley rules where I'm not going to let anybody get a free layup. Like way back in the day of the NBA, before you were born, Dragon Ball, because you're 12 years old. At least you eat like a 12-year-old. Back in the day, the real Riley rules, have you ever seen any of the old school video of the Celtics and the Pistons and the Bulls before they got great, and the Lakers?
Well, again, with the Pistons, you had Rick Mahorn, you had Bill Laimbeer, you had, just
the bad boys.
You had the bad boys and everybody
Dennis
in the paint that would say, okay, John Sally was in there too, saying, okay, they go ahead and they take 1 foot in the paint, they come down with a hook, they come down with a tie-up, they come down with whatever it was.
Nobody was going to get an uncontested free layup.
Right.
But see, you talk about the bad boys, everybody goes, oh, yeah, remember how dirty they were. The original guy who came up with that, I think, if I'm not mistaken, was Pat Riley. And that's where it was the Riley rule. So when Pat Riley took over Showtime Lakers and everybody's watching that stupid docu, whatever you want to call it,
right,
on the Lakers.
Right.
I haven't watched it yet.
I've been meaning to get into that.
But the original Riley rules were nobody gets a free shot. So you think of Showtime Lakers and Magic and Kareem and Big Game James and, they were the glamour team. Oh, no. They had guys who would come and take your head off. Kurt Rambis. If you were Michael Jordan and you were going uncontested to the hoop, he would come over there and catch you the way that they caught Gary Payton the second and just clothesline you and take you down. Well, it was all the teams that did that, even the pretty teams like the Lakers.
Well, one of the more underrated members of the Showtime Lakers back in that era was Michael Cooper. Michael Cooper was absolutely probably the most important Laker coming off the bench.
Cooper, Kupchak. Who else did you have back there? Norm Nixon was on that team for a little bit before they traded him. Byron Scott was there, but we won't talk about him because he was Sun Devil. But they would absolutely come and decapitate you. So you always think about, the Celtics would play dirty and rough because you had McHale and Bird and Parrish, and Jerry Sheasting was the guy who was everybody hated. And you knew about the bad boys. The Bulls, though, were just as physical. And then, of course, the Lakers, everybody thinks of as Showtime and just running and Magic with a smile. No, they were just as physical as anybody else. So those are going to be 2 great games. So right now, Miami's making a run coming back in Philadelphia, and things are starting to get a little chippy. And then later tonight, it'll be the Suns. They're up 2-0. We'll see what they do tonight in their game. And then tomorrow, Celtics and the Bucks. The Bucks are up 2-0, and then
No, that's series.
That's 1-1. That's 1-1.
Tied up 1-1.
And then the Warriors 1-1 as well.
So this isn't, again, based on what we're seeing so far with the Sixers and the Heat, because let's not forget, everyone's talking about this game with Joel Embiid's return. This is also the return of Kyle Lowry.
Right.
The Kyle Lowry's finally back from his hamstring injury for the Heat, and they really could use him to kind of orchestrate the defense, especially from the guards, because for as much as people want to talk about Philadelphia's and the importance of Embiid, Maxey and Tobias Harris, these guys that are wing players, You need a guy like Kyle Lowry to kind of orchestrate the perimeter defense, tell people where they need to be.
You know what's amazing? You know the other amazing thing is, and somebody pointed this out the other day, these are some of the best NBA playoffs we've seen in a long time.
Yes.
And the Lakers aren't in it.
There's a little bit of that, a little bit of a.
No, we don't. You don't need the Lakers.
Well, no, I've never felt that there needs to be star franchises or like legacy franchises in the NBA playoffs or anything like that.
Well, you need them because that's how much better would the NFL be if the Dallas Cowboys didn't suck?
I mean, it's fine the way it is.
It would be a much better league if the Cowboys, the glamour team. If the don't take me down that stupid Dragon Ball hole because then you go, oh no, they'd be better. It'd be better if the Pittsburgh Steelers. No, Cowboys are America's team. If the Cowboys are good, it's better for the NFL. If the Yankees are good, it's better for Major League Baseball. If the Dodgers are good, it's good for Major League Baseball. If the Lakers, it's good for the NBA. Imagine if the Montreal Canadiens were ever good, it would be great for the NHL. Sorry, your team isn't the glamour team. Your team isn't the star power franchise.
Well, no, I've never believed that you need star power franchises to make the playoffs interesting because every team has their legitimate, path to the championship.
I'm just shaking my head no. I'm shaking my head no.
I understand the idea.
No,
I understand the idea of you need the 49ers in the postseason. You need the Cowboys in the postseason. You need the Patriots in the postseason.
When they're the big franchise.
Right. And
you need your star power.
I understand the idea of that being a narrative. I like the idea of what happens when the big dog gets punched in the mouth and doesn't make it. Now it's the underdog.
But you need him in the playoff in order to vanquish him.
Not really.
Yes, you do. You're crazy.
You can have that happen in Week 17 and have the Cowboys get eliminated. And it's still a good league.
It doesn't. No, it's better when you have. Okay. See, you did it again. I'm going to take your microphone and beat you over the head with it. You need an antagonist and you need a protagonist. And if the protagonist is the underdog upstart, the antagonist is David and Goliath. I need to vanquish one of them in order to make it compelling. If it's a bunch of underdogs, it's not as compelling as when the New England Patriots are undefeated going up against the upstarts and you beat them in the Super Bowl. That's compelling. Stop. Nope. No more. There you go. Because I've got to get to the updates. Stop.
I got you.
You're the one who's always yelling at me that we're going too long.
I got you.
I'm trying to stay on time, and you're messing with my head now.
I got you.
All right, coming up, we'll do the big story of the day. That's next. All right, some of the big stories coming up tonight. University of Arizona takes on the University of Southern California. Cats really need to win all 3 games in the series that begins tonight, 7 p.m. Brian Jeffries will have all the action. Cats, more than likely, I think, are bound for the tournament. Now, what's their RPI say? RPI took a beating after losing to Washington State. They've got 2 huge series after this. So in order to protect your RPI from dipping any bit, you got to beat USC, who's in last place in the Pac-12, all 3 games. Then you've got to come home and play against I think they're the number 2 team in the nation, if I'm not mistaken, David, Dragon Ball, against Oregon State. And then you go on for the final game of the final home games of the year against Oregon in Eugene. So 2 highly ranked teams at the end of the season, with the Oregon State Beavers coming in and then going to finish the season at Oregon. So 9 more games left in the Pac-12 season for the Arizona Wildcats. They need to win this series. In fact, I think they need to win all 3, and then they need to win the series against Oregon State and win the series against Oregon before they get ready for the Pac-12 tournament, which will take place Memorial Day weekend in Scottsdale. We're still trying to Dragon Ball. I'd like to go up there for like the Wednesday or Thursday game and broadcast live from up there, but it depends on what time the University of Arizona is playing.
Right. And to go ahead and go off of what you were saying, yes, Oregon State is the number 2 team in the nation as of right now, and they've also going into their game today against Oregon. They are currently on a 3-game winning streak, including a shutout win over the Ducks on Tuesday.
In a non-conference game.
Yeah.
All right, so it's a big weekend this weekend for for Arizona baseball at USC. Like I said, Heat 76ers playing right now. It's a pretty tight game. A little bit later, the Suns will try to go up 3-0 in their game, in their series. Dubs will take on Memphis tomorrow, and that for me is must-see for the weekend. There's going to be blood. There's somebody's going to get cracked upside the head.
There's going to be at least I don't like to go ahead and use baseball terminology in a basketball thing, but you almost have to wonder if maybe the umpires or the referees in this situation give pregame warnings.
Well, okay, so here's what also goes on. So in Major League Baseball, you get the same umpiring crew for the entire series. With the NBA, you get a different referee crew in every game. And that's why people say you can kind of manipulate the NBA finals or the playoffs, because as they come in, somebody from the league will say, hey, listen, here's what's going on. So you're absolutely right. Here's what's going on. Draymond Green is getting into it with this person, and they'll show them some plays. Keep an eye on this. This is where it was getting a little out of hand. So they're already going to have a predisposition because they'll have instructions from the league before the game even begins of what we're going to be looking for. So they do get kind of pushed and shoved and coerced into a certain way of looking out for this or looking out for that.
And, you don't like to use the terminology of they're coaching the officials to do certain things.
No, the officials are reacting to what the league is telling them to do. So if Draymond Green is just beating the heck out of people, or the Warriors are getting are hard fouls and cracking people across the head, or when Dylan Brooks comes back. All right, Dylan Brooks got suspended for this game. When he comes back, they're going to ask, all right, what's Dylan Brooks doing? What did he get suspended for? And they'll go, oh, he was cracking across somebody's head. Or they'll look, hey, keep an eye and make sure that none of the Warriors look to retaliate and try to take off Dylan Brooks' head.
And one thing that also,
it's called game management.
Game management. And another thing to go ahead and take into account is that we will get to see one of the old school rivalries in the postseason between 2 players from both these teams, as Steven Adams makes his return from health and safety protocols, and he'll be back in the rotation for the Memphis Grizzlies going up against the Warriors. So a little bit of Draymond Green, Steven Adams revisiting.
Yep, absolutely. So Dylan Brooks will be out of that game against the Warriors. That's his suspension. And Draymond Green, of course, he said, I got enough money. $25,000, that's like finding you a quarter.
Yep.
He didn't care. One other thing, Tommy Lloyd added to the 18 under on-court coaches for Team USA. So congratulations to the Coach of the Year, still being recognized for being one of the best in the business.
And one more quick update that just came up. Apparently the umpire that tossed Madison Bumgarner out for the spider tack or whatever it was that they tossed him for, he did issue an apology to Madison Bumgarner. So the umpire did have to come out and say,
Good.
I apologize.
Good. But again, I said this. We keep going inside the game, but nobody has any context. Take me inside the game, but don't judge what you don't understand.
Yeah, so again, just based on the comments here, he said he wants to apologize. This is a first base umpire, Dan Bellino. He's apologizing for the actions on May 4th. He says he fell short of those expectations of being an umpire this week. I can't go back and change what happened. I take full accountability. I will learn from this incident, and I sincerely apologize. Now, he doesn't actually apologize directly to Madison Bumgarner. He just addresses the incident that happened with Bumgarner and apologizes for it.
Okay, that's the big stories of the day. Dragon Ball will give you a little update, tell you what's going on with the NBA action going on. And then in case you missed it, Brett Boone joins us here on the program.